Question 8 is another one of our comparison questions. The table shows the costs per person of a holiday at 2 different hotels. I'm thinking already I'm probably going to have to compare the hotel costs, but I don't know yet. It shows the cost for 5 nights and the cost for each extra night. It also shows the discount for each child. 5 nights, each extra night, child discount. There are 2 adults and 2 children in the Smith family. I'm going to make a note of that. 2 adult and 2 children in the Smith family. Family went on holiday for 7 nights, starting on the 1st of August. And they're actually telling you here, look, one hotel will be cheaper for them than the other hotel. Work out the cost of the cheaper holiday. You must show all of your working. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split my page into whatever it is I'm comparing. So the first hotel I'm comparing is Park Palace, and I'm comparing it to the Dubai Grand. And I'm going on the 1st of August, so I'm going to look at my table. And the 1st of August is going to fall under this category here. And for 5 nights, it's 810. And then it's an extra £80 per night. And for the Dubai Grand, it's the 800, I'll do it in blue, 854 for the 5 nights and £53 for each additional night. Now remember, we are going for 7 nights. So what I pay is the fixed price for 5 nights, and then I have to add on 2 lots of my extra night. Okay, so let's work out the cost first at Park Palace, and we'll do it for an adult because that's the easiest one before we have discounts to worry about. So the cost of an adult at Park Palace, well, they have to pay for the 5 nights, which is £810, and they have to pay for 2 lots of £80. So I'll say plus 80 and another 80. So there's my 5 nights, 6 nights, 7 nights. Now when I add those together, that gives me £970 per adult. And from that, I'm going to work out the cost of a child. Now it says the discount for a child is 1/5 off. So the first thing I have to do is find 1/5 of £970 because that's the adult. Now to find a fifth is the same as dividing by 5. So what this really is asking is 970 divided by 5. Use whatever method you need to for that, bus stop or chunking, but I know because I worked it out earlier that the answer is 194. But that's not the cost of a child, that's the discount. So what I need to do now is take my adult price, which was 970, and take away the £194 discount, and that leaves me with the cost of a child being £776, and that's per child. Now at this point I need to think about who is in the Smith family, so I'm going to put here family cost, and in the family it said that we have 2 adults, so that's 970 and another 970, and I've got 2 children, so that's add 776, add 776, and whatever method I need to do to add those up, but I did it earlier, so I know that it's £3,492. So that's the total cost for Park Palace. Now I'm going to do the same, exactly the same for the Dubai Grand Hotel, the only difference being the child discount is different. So let's start in the same way, and that is by finding the price of an adult. Now for the 5 nights it's £854, and the 2 additional nights is add 53, and that will give you £960 per adult. So it's £960 per adult. Now let's find the child cost. And the discount is 15%. So I'm going to make a note here, 15% off. So the first thing I've got to do here is actually find 15% of 960. Because this is a non-calc paper, I need to be quite slick about how I get this, and I'm going to get there by finding 10% and by finding 5%, and then I'm going to add them both together to give me 15%. So 10% of 960 is 96, because you divide by 10. 5% is actually half of 10%, so it's 48. And I'll add them together to find my 15%, and that's going to give me 144. Now that's not the cost of the child, that is the discount. So I need to take the adult price, which was 960, and I need to subtract the £144 child discount, and that's going to leave me with an £816 price per child. Lots of M's in this one, must be tired. Okay, so that's the cost per child. Now I can go ahead and find my family cost again, and the same people are in the family. They're taking everyone. So we've got 2 adults, which is 960 and 960, and we've got 2 children, which is 816 and 816, and when I've added all those together it gives me 3,552. So let's have a look at what the question was actually asking again. Now I found the costs. They wanted to know, well, they told us that one hotel will be cheaper. They want to work out the cost of the cheaper hotel. You must show all your workings. So I can see that the lowest price is this one, but they specifically asked for the cheaper hotel. So I'm going to very clearly say that Park Palace is the cheaper. So I've made my statement that Park Palace is the cheaper hotel. Now for the mark scheme. Okay, this is quite a complicated one to break down, but I'll work backwards. Your first mark is an answer mark for correctly identifying that Park Palace is the cheaper hotel. Now, there's a second answer mark, and that is for getting either one of these correct. So I got them both right, so I get the second answer mark. Now, there are 2 method marks at this stage where we have correctly found the discount and the price of the child. So that's actually worth 2 marks there. And I also get a mark for finding 7 nights. So where did I do that? Here. So I've identified I needed 7 nights, and I've got that by doing 5 nights and 2 others. So there's another method mark there. And I get my final mark for correctly identifying the correct piece of the table. So that's a method mark there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it was a 6-mark question. This was only a 3-mark question, and you actually get 1 mark for correctly going between the units of time. So by realising to get to an hour, you times by 2, then times by 60. That would give you a method mark. Now, if you did go down the route of saying, whoops, Daisy, that could have been bad. If you did go down the route of saying, well, I know that speed is distance over time, and you try to use that somehow, you would get a mark, okay, for attempting to use that formula. You just wouldn't get very far. So I happen to get my mark for doing this. My second mark is then for showing that I understand the fact that 5 miles is the same as 8 kilometres. So I actually got a method mark for catching sight of any of that, really, for seeing 5 miles. And then my final mark is my correct answer, which gives me the 3 mark. Question 9 is a distance, speed, time question. However, it does have a little trick in it, and when I was looking at this question, I was picturing you desperately trying to do the distance, speed, time triangle and trying to make it work and getting ludicrous answers. Unfortunately, the success of this question hinges on a piece of knowledge that is not given to you, but it's the fact that 8 kilometres is the same thing as 5 miles. So this success of this question hinges partly on understanding that. So there's actually no need for the distance, speed, time formula, because I can take a kind of a proportional approach. It takes 30 seconds to fly a distance of 8 kilometres, but because we want the answer in miles, I'm going to write 5 miles. So it takes me 30 seconds to travel 5 miles. I need to somehow get up to hours. So the easiest thing for me to do is to get to 1 minute. And to get from 30 seconds to 1 minute, I times by 2, because a minute is 60 seconds. So on this side, I also times by 2. So in 1 minute, I travel 10 miles. Now, I don't want minutes, I want 1 hour. And how many minutes are there in an hour? Well, there is 60. So I need to times by 60. So in 1 hour, I get 600 miles. Now at this point I've actually answered the question because it wanted to know the average speed of the plane in miles per hour. So that's 1 hour and they've travelled 600 miles. So the answer is 600 miles per hour. Question 10 is a coordinate question, albeit 3D coordinates. Now you might look at this question and think, what? I've never seen coordinates with 3 numbers before. But where we're used to seeing an x-axis and a y-axis, this is just an x-axis, a y-axis and a z-axis. So it's introducing the idea of depth. What would it be in 3D? Now they're saying AB is a line segment. A is the point 256. The midpoint of line AB has coordinates -1, -4 and 2. Find the coordinates of point B. Now that's got the potential to be a very messy question if you don't approach it in a fairly simplistic way. So they're telling me that AB is a line segment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to picture this line starting at A and go in to B. Okay, so starting at A and going to B. Now they've given me the point of A as 2, 5, 6. They've given me that the midpoint, and keep in mind that this would be the midpoint. So they've told me that the midpoint is -1, -4, 2. And they want me to find the coordinates of this point. Now, the easiest way to do this, if you're picturing it on a line, and remember these are 3D coordinates, so this line is not accurate, but it helps you get an idea. If you need to go from A all the way down to B, but you take a stop off halfway, then you can work out how far you travelled to get to halfway, because however far that was, you've got the exact same distance to go on the other part of the journey. So how would I go from 2 to -1? Well, I would subtract 3. How would I go from 5 to -4? I would subtract 9. And how would I go from 6 to 2? I would subtract 4. So that was the first leg of my journey to the midway. Now I need to go all the way, so I'm going to subtract my 3 again. I'm going to subtract my 9, and I'm going to subtract my 4. So what I end up with here was from the midpoint I was on -1. Now I'm going down by another 3, so I'm going to end up here on -4. Midway was -4. I came down another 9, so I'm now on -13. Midway was 2. I've come down 4, so now I'm on -2. And that's just a 2-mark question. And one of those 2 marks was for getting a correct method for at least one coordinate. So getting the method for one coordinate, and if you've got 2 out of the 3 coordinates correct, then it's implied that you get that 1 mark. And so you get a method mark for successfully finding one coordinate, and you get an answer mark for getting the 3 points of the coordinate correct.